Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are all doing well. So, today's situation, the current situation of COVID cases. So please stay safe and please maintain social distancing. Masks are must. Do not forget to wear it. So let's move on to today's video without any delay, and I expect that you might have watched the previous part too. If you haven't watched yet, I've provided the links in the description box. So that was all about, like, I've covered concepts like how to use the type of function and what are the different data types and what is Python, how Python was created, and all those basic concepts, very basic foundation concepts. Today also we'll be covering few foundation concepts as well as few advanced concepts like functions and all. So before getting into today's video, let me request you all to please subscribe to my channel and also click on the like button as well as the share button. And do provide your valuable comments in the comment section, because that is the motivation and that is how I understand how much useful my video was. So let's move on to today's video, and before getting into that, as mentioned, learning Python in the easiest way. If you are new to this video, if you are visiting my channel for the first time, you might not know what I have discussed in the previous video. I've also mentioned about how to learn Python in the easiest way. In every video, we'll be covering the easiest concepts or easiest ways, because I'll be not going in-depth concepts. I'll be just sharing you how to easily understand it. So I've also in the previous video mentioned why am I mentioning that I have learned it in the easiest way, or why my techniques are easy. I've mentioned it in the previous video. Do check it out. And also the content has been provided by CLOUDTEC IT Solutions. If you want to know why they are providing the content and how their hiring strategies are and all, just check out the link in the description box. That is in the third last video. So please do check it out, and let's move on to today's video. So first we are going to discuss about variable storing. Variables are nothing but reserved memory locations to store values. So in the previous video, I had shown you some examples of how to use variables, and I had promised that in the next video I'll be sharing about the storing procedure. So let me tell you that each time you declare a variable, some space in the memory is being allocated, and that space purely depends on the data type that you use. So if you're declaring a variable and if it is of integer, or if it is of float, or if it is of string type, the allocation differs in each case, in each data type's case. So to know about the data types, I have discussed about the data types in the previous video. What are the data types which are mainly being used? So do check it out to understand it very well. So this is an example for the variable storing, and here I have six boxes which contains chocolates, biscuits, coffee mugs, sweets, and so on. So the thing is, like, here we have two people. One is Alice, the other one is Bob. So Alice, she needs to collect all those boxes which contain chocolates, biscuits, sweets, spicy snacks. That is, all those eatable items, she needs to have it in her box which is besides her. Bob also has a box besides him, and he needs coffee mugs as well as roses. Those are non-eatable items. All those non-eatable items, Bob needs it. So we have to split it into each person and we have to give it. So Alice becomes a variable, and we are assigning all these number of chocolates. Let us assume that chocolate is a name, okay? Also assume that biscuit is also a name. So we are assigning the names like chocolates, biscuits, sweets, spicy snacks to the variable called Alice. So that means Alice will have all these stuffs with her, okay? Same is with Bob. We'll be assigning a variable Bob, and we'll be giving some these variables as coffee mugs as well as roses. To make it very clear, let me describe it with numbers. This is the number of chocolates, these are the number of biscuits, coffee mugs. As you can see, 10 chocolates, 5 biscuits, 10 coffee mugs, 10 sweets, 15 spicy snacks, and 20 roses are there. Now let's see how to store data using variables, and let's move on to the Jupyter notebook to show how data is being stored in each of the variables and how we can access it every time we use. See, now we have entered few values here. So Alice has got chocolates, biscuits, sweets plus spicy snacks. So I've entered it in a variable. So the sum of all these is given inside a variable named Alice, and coffee mugs plus roses is being given in the variable name which is Bob. Now let's print it. print Alice. It gives 23, which is the sum of all those values. Now let's give B, which is print of Bob, and that gives 30. 20 plus 10 is 30. So that's how the values are being assigned in a variable. I've told you that it also has some allocation in the memory. So now let's move on to one more thing, which is the convention, naming convention in Python. So this is the website. I'll provide the website link in the description, python.org. Official website. You can find all those details regarding Python here. And considering the naming conventions, this is right. Okay, function name, long function name, variable 1, 2, this underscore can be used. When you're using it in the next line, you should not use it along with this long function. You can see here, right, my mouse. So see the cursor. So it should not be in the same way, or it should not be before that. The indentation should be exactly same in this way. Okay, that is how some conventions, some things which you should keep in mind while writing all these functions. And naming conventions, descriptive naming styles. Okay, let's see this. This is what we need as of now. So naming styles are commonly distinguished as it can be a lowercase letter, it can be an uppercase letter, and lowercase with underscores, uppercase with underscores. You can also have capitalized words or camel case. So for example, it will be like, let me show you, Anjali underscore variable, okay, which will be given the value 9, and the next will be like, we can also start with an underscore, which is Anjali, which is equals to 10. Then we can also have a variable, just now we discussed in this, with camel case in the sense we can have Anjali variable. So this is like in between, let A be cap. So this is camel case in the sense the first letter will be capital in letter. That is how you distinguish it. So that is also a kind of variable naming. So it's 10, control enter. Now when we give Anjali space variable, let's see what happens. It's a wrong syntax. So that's what I was mentioning all about. Mixed case, you can write like A can be in caps, J can be in caps, L can be in caps. Randomly you can capitalize any words, and capitalize words with underscores that would look ugly, but still you can use it. So single leading underscore, single one underscore, or double leading underscore, you can use it in all these different levels or different ways. Never use the characters L, O, L as single character variable names. When you have a single character variable names, do not use these characters like L or lowercase l or uppercase O or uppercase I. Okay, all these things should be avoided, because when you distinguish it from 1 and 0, it is like there might be confusion. When tempted to use L, use capital L instead of that, because when you write this, see, check it out. Do you know that it's L, or do you consider it as 1? Even this I, you will get confused if it is L or 1. Okay, and O also, you don't know if it's 0 or O. So small letter O, that won't be a big issue, because small letter O will look something like this. Small letter O, okay. Big letter O would look like this, and 0 would look like this, almost similar, right? So we'll be confused. So that's what naming conventions are. There are many things that needs to be considered. I'll be sharing this link in the description box. You can check it out anytime. The next is all about Whitespace as well as comments. How we use comments in the Python, as well as how we use Whitespace in Python, because Whitespace plays a very important role in Python when you compare with all other languages. So an example for Whitespace and comments, let's now execute that in the Jupyter notebook. So see, here we have a function. I'll share about the functions in the upcoming slides, what function is all about and how to use a function and all. So as of now, understand that this is a function, and this is a function name. This is how you declare a function, and this is inside the function what should be done, what are the set of codes that needs to be executed every time you call a function. So Whitespace, considering Whitespace in the beginning, so this is the space, this is the indentation that you give after a colon in a function, because usually indentation, as I told you, indentation plays a very important role in this Python. So let me show you another example. this automatically detects that. So let me show you def function to of. We are not giving any parameters inside. You'll understand why am I mentioning it as such. Now we'll print a. Now we'll give a is equals to 10 and then print of a. Okay, by giving enter. Fine. This function will not print a because this is not called yet. So let me give you an example. Like for this white space, the examples are being given. So inside the function 3, we are giving like a is equals to 10. Now we are going to print something like print of Anjali. We'll also give a print function inside that so that you might be aware of how it works. Okay, print a. I'll show you in depth how the function is being executed in the upcoming slides in the next few minutes. So as of now, let me just tell you that this print and this thing, this a declaration, this variable declaration is inside this function, and this print is outside the function, and this will not have an indentation. So white space is nil here, and here you will have white spaces because that is part of this function. We just give enter. This will print Anjali because print Anjali is not part of this function. Once you call the function, this a will also be printed. As of now, this is not part of the function, that is why it is indented out. So that's why Anjali is being printed. Now to showcase how the comments work. Okay, I'll show you how the comments work. B. This is the symbol that we use, which is the pound symbol which we use. So let me just tell you function is being declared. Okay, enter. Now def function of some random print a. Okay, so that is run successfully and function is being declared. This is how you declare a comment. So this will not run. Now let's see how multiple line comments work. So we'll be giving 1, 2. So function is being declared. Function is being declared here, and one more. You can have this. So function is being declared here. That will be output because nothing else being printed there. So let's try with some print. Print Anjali. It will print only Anjali. So because as only a function or a comment is just being printed out, it shows you that it's just a comment. If you're not using anything else, it will show that. Okay. Now coming to the expressions that is being used in Python is that x is equals to y is the first expression, which is an assignment. Assignment in the sense y value, whatever value y has, that value is being assigned to x. I'll show you all these things in the Jupyter notebook, else it will be like an imaginary version, right? So let me show you in the Jupyter notebook, but as of now, understand these concepts that these are the expressions. So when it is being asked in the exam or whenever you are asked to remember it, you'll remember this flow. Okay, that's why it is being depicted as pictures, because pictures get into our mind very easily. And x star y is another one which gives a product of x as well as y. Another one is x comma y, which is a tuple, because as already said in the previous video, tuple will be inside curved brackets. X is the next one, which is a single variable, that is also an expression, even if you don't assign anything. F of, which is a function, that is also an expression. True, which is a boolean thing which states that this value is true. So coming to the examples of those expressions which we discussed right just now. Y is equals to 10. This is an assignment. As I told you, this is a kind of assignment. This is also an assignment. We are assigning the value of y to x. We are assigning 10 to y. That is all assignment. Okay. There is also a product. So for remaining things, the functions and all, I'll show you in the upcoming slides in a few minutes. Let's give enter. So next thing is we shall print this x. So here the x value should be 10 because we have assigned the value of x as a value of y, which is 10. So 10 is successfully printed. Next line, we are going to print the product. Product. It's 100 because x value is also 10, y value is also 10, and it is 100. So that's all for this expressions. Now let's move on to the next concept. Next, let's move on to list. List, as already discussed in the previous video, it is used inside square brackets and it is separated using a comma. So let's move on to the example for list. So we are creating a list named list A and we are assigning all these values like 5, 10, 15 and 20. So this comma is how it is being separated, as I've told you just now. So square brackets will be used. Now let's print the list. It prints as it is. And if you print type of list A, it shows you that it is a list. So now we have added a list B which has values like 10, 20, 30 and 40. So the number of values inserted in both the lists are same. Now we shall add list A plus list B. Let's see what is the result. List A plus list B gives the concatenation of list A and the list B. So you can see that 5, 10, 15, 20 till here it is list A, 10, 20, 30, 40 is list B. Okay, this is how list is being concatenated. That is, you can concatenate two lists together. Now when you check for indexing, like list A of, we shall search for some index. Let us search with 0. Let us start with 0. List A of 0. What is in the index number 0? This is how you find out index, okay? So it's 5. Now we shall check what is in list B index. We shall insert something which is out of bound index, okay? So we shall give, it's already 3. So let's give 5, okay? Shows that list index is out of range because in list B you have only till 3 indexes, that is 0, 1, 2 and 3. There is no 5, there is no 4 index. So that's why it has shown an error. And now let us see how to find out the length of a list. It is length of list A. This gives the length of the list, that is 4. This is the example which we had discussed just now, list A. So list A contains 4 numbers which are 5, 10, 15, 20. This is how each value will be allocated in a list. So 5 will be in the index number 0. That is how indexing starts in Python in a list. It starts from 0, then 1, then 2, then 3. That is how it goes on. So when you refer to list A of 0, it shows 5. So 5 is being shown, 10 is being shown in the index number 1, 15 in the index number 2, and 20 in the index number 3. So next comes the tuples, which are same as list, and this is also used to store multiple items in a single variable. And this is a collection which is ordered, and the highlight is that it is unchangeable. You cannot change the values once you declare a tuple. It's not the same in the list. You can change it anytime you need. Tuple of is a constructor which you can also use along with the creation of variables. Like when you create a variable and you just have this tuple value inside the curved brackets. Similar way you can also use a tuple of constructor. I shall show you how it is being used. This is an example for tuple that, see, mostly you will have tuples in a registry. So let's assume that this is the birth registry which hospitals will have. Once a child is born, they'll write in the registry, right? Like what's his or her first name or his or her last name, date of birth, city of birth, time of birth, everything will be mentioned in the registry. So for all these things, most of these things will never change in the child's history, right? In the life of the child, date of birth, city of birth and time of birth will never change. They might change the first name and last name later on. So when you're changing the first name and last name later on, only these things needs to be changed. So for that, when you're going to change it, as you're using this as a tuple, it's not possible to change. If you're using it as a list, you can change it. And mostly in the hospital records, no one will change the names, right? So for that purpose, they use tuple because the variable or the data which is being allocated to that variable should never be changed. For that purpose, with that security purpose, we use tuple. Similar to the list, indexing starts from 0, then 1, then 2, then 3 and then 4. Now let's see a few examples for tuples. So how do we define a tuple? Let's define some random tuple named tuple 1. Okay, tuple 1 is equals to, we shall give some values 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's enough, right? That's enough. So this is one tuple. Now we shall add one more tuple 2, which has the value 5, 6, 7, 8. If we want, we can add the spaces. So let's give it in this way. Now let's try adding these two. What will be the result? In list, we saw that if we add in this way, both the lists will be concatenated, and in this we shall try doing this. This is also getting concatenated. So that's how plus sign works in this. Now coming to the functions, which is something which is really important to be understood in any language that you learn. So function is a block of reusable code that is used to perform a single action. That set of code will be performing only a single action, and you can call it any time you need. So whenever you want to use that same function, you just have to call that function name. You just don't have to repeat the same lines again and again. I'll show you an example so that you can understand it very well. Now let's see how a function is actually. So def, and we shall add some name to that function. Let it be func, and let's not give something inside that, and let's print 5. Okay, this is a function. We have defined it. Def, which is def, is the definition. That's called a keyword. That's a keyword, and function is the name. Func is the name, and of symbol. Within that you can give input parameters if you wish. As of now we are not using. In the upcoming slides I'll show you how to use parameters and all. Now printing 5. This is a function as of now. Enter. Give enter. Okay. Now we are going to call this function func. It prints 5 because it executes whatever is present inside that function. So let's also print 5. Okay. Now let's print the function. Now let's call the function. We won't say print, we say call the function. Hi, and 5 is being printed. So this is what our function is all about. This is the basic structure of a function. So as said already, we have discussed about the functions and all. Now let's see some more things like square of. Okay. Now we'll be discussing something which is more related to the parameters. Let's move with parameters right now. So I'm giving parameter x. So whenever I get this x, square 1 is equal to x star x. Whenever I get the x inside this, you should print this and also print square 1. You can also give the print option outside. Not outside the function. You can print it later on. So that depends on you, how you use it in your program code. Now let's call the square function square of 10. You should print 100, right? It printed 100. So that's how that's how the thing works. That's how this function works. Now let's give def add of x comma y. Okay. We are going to add values. Add equals to x plus y. Whatever value we get, it should sum up. So print add. Okay. B. Add of 10 comma 20. Okay. 30, which is the sum, is being printed. There are also built-in functions in Python, and let me show you some of them. Now let me show you some of the built-in functions, which is first thing, which is print. As we know, that is a built-in function. So print Anjali, it prints Anjali, and print print 9 plus 10, it prints 19. And this was shown, all these were shown in the first part itself. I had shown you how print works, how can we give some values to the print. So we can also declare a variable named a equals to Anjali, and then we can print a. Even in that way, this works successfully. Print is one such built-in function, and input is another such function. A is equal to input of what's your name. Okay, now let's add something else, like B is equals to input of what's your favorite color. Okay, what's your favorite color? So that's it. And now let's give enter. So the first question is what's your name? I'll enter Anjali. What's your favorite color? It's blue. So yeah, now let's try printing some string concatenation type of statements, like hi. So hi is should be printed as such, plus my name should be printed, which is in the variable a, plus we shall print an exclamation mark, and plus your favorite color is space we have given, and then plus, and what's the colors in variable, it's B. So now let's try printing this. Hi Anjali, your favorite color is blue. So after hi, if you insert a space, I think this should look perfectly fine. Yeah, that's how it works. So that's how this string concatenation, we call it as the string concatenation on this, because this is not considered, this will take its own value which has been assigned already, and this will take the exact lines which are present in the double quotes. So these are built-in functions. We also can declare our own functions. Our own function in the sense that will not be built-in, but we create it by our own. So mostly most people use these functions, built-in functions in the sense, as I told you, those specific ones like print of, input of, all these will be used. But when it comes to own functions, these will be the most used. So you need to understand what is the structure of it. Structure of it in the sense, what is the anatomy of this function, own functions. It is def, which is a keyword. Function name, which is our wish, we can create in any way if we need. But there are conventions, naming conventions. Input name is the value which you give. If you want to give some value as input in the function, you can give it. Else you can leave that space inside the bracket should be empty. Next is the you will give a semicolon and then the body of the function. Now I'll show you some examples of how to use your own function. Okay, now we are going to see some your own function type of things. So definition, def. So def, what shall we give? Let us give it as greetings. Okay, this is something which is used very common, this definition. Okay, this function is used many times. So we'll give a equals to input of what's your name. Okay, and it should print of hi space plus a. Okay, this is how it should print. And let us also print an exclamation mark. Okay, so that's perfectly done. Okay, now let's move on to printing this thing. Now let's call the greetings function. Greetings of is being called now. So it's asking for an input because we have given the first line as input, Anjali. So it prints hi Anjali. So this is how a function works. So whenever you want to use this, whenever you want to call this greetings function, you can use this multiple times. You just have to use the greetings of function. You need not keep on repeating the same thing again and again. A equals to input of this thing, print this thing. So those number of lines. See, this is just a two-lined function. But imagine those functions which have n number of lines. That cannot be repeated every time. That will just increase the complexity of the code. For that, we use in this way. Functions are being used. Now let's see some other example. Okay. Now let's try giving something with parameter, a single parameter which is x. Okay, we'll give some x. So whatever parameter we give into that function while calling, that will be given as the parameter inside this. That will be given during the calling. So what you should do is x plus whatever value I give, it should print x plus 5. So let's give some random variable A equals to, okay, N. Print of A, okay, it should print A, small letter, okay. Keep in mind all these things, it's case sensitive. Now B. B is for new line, you know that. Now we shall call that function, which is function of some number. Let's give 5. So whatever number we give, that is passed as parameter inside the function, and I'll add them accordingly, because x is given here and that x should be used inside. Only then there will be some result, okay. So it gives the result 10. So function of how much? Anytime you can use, like a function of 10, function of 20, function of 30. Everything will add up and give you the same result. So it's a single line of code. Time consumption has been reduced. Coming to the conditional statements, this is another concept, major concept that you need to understand. Now let me show you some of the conditional statements examples. We have if else, we have if else, also we have single if statements. So let me show you that. Let me give some value a, x equals to input of. We are going to get the input value. And now let's print the if function. If x is equals to 5. Okay, then it should print hooray. Okay, now let's see. It's asking for some value, x value. So I'm entering x, so it's printing hooray. So what if it's not 5, it's 6? It does not print anything, it does not have any input. This is just the input we gave, it didn't print anything. Now let's copy this and try, this is the if statement. Okay, now let's try using an else statement. Paste. Else, indentation should be out. Now let's print 5. It prints hooray. Now let's print another. Let it be 6. It prints uh-oh. So this is how if else works. Now let's move on to some other, which is, let's print the same thing, right? Why should we confuse with this? Elif. If let us assume that x is given as 9, okay, it should print oh no. It should print oh no. So else it should print uh-oh. Okay, the same uh-oh. I would have copied from the second one. That's okay. So I'm giving x as 5. It prints hooray. I'm giving x as 9, it prints oh no. I'm giving x as 6, it prints uh-oh. So this is how if elif else works. So based on the condition that you give inside elif if condition, this runs first. It checks if the input given is equals to 5. If it is not equals to 5, it goes to the next. If there is an elif statement, elif in the sense, if not, then you should check this condition. If you have multiple conditions, then this is how you use x equals to 9. If it does not satisfy both the conditions, then else should print. So hope you have understood all the concepts which we have discussed in today's video. In the upcoming videos, we'll be discussing about iterations as well as some advanced concepts and also the OOP concepts in Python. So all those concepts will be discussed in the upcoming sessions. So please do not miss out. Do subscribe to my channel and also click on the like button as well as the bell icon, because bell icon, next time when I post a video, you should be notified, right? So for that, so please do click on the bell icon too. And that's all for today's video. So hope you liked it. Do share your views in the comment section. Do not forget to follow me on my Instagram, Facebook as well as Twitter handles. I've provided all the links in the description box. And also if you want to buy my books, the links are in the description box, as well as if you want to buy my course, which is for WordPress developers, then you can buy it anytime. The link is in the description box. If you want any coupon, please DM me through the Instagram, Facebook or Twitter handles. I'll be giving you the coupons. So thank you so much for watching. Let's meet in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.